Hello Taurus, welcome to Monarch Intuition, and today I'm going to be doing your July 2022 monthly check-in reading for you. So what do we need to know for the sign of Taurus? So if you're new to my channel, what I like to do is I like to pull one major arcana to see the energy and then clarify from there. So what do we need to know for the sign of Taurus? What's going on for you? One more shuffle. Okay. We had the Devil. So Capricorn energy. So here's the thing about the Devil. This does represent binds, addictions, and it can also represent contracts. So what I'm seeing right here is that you might have an addiction to something, you might feel bound to something, and it could be a contractual obligation. So if you don't want to feel bound to a situation, definitely make sure you double check everything, especially if you have to sign your name on like the dotted line. However, the Devil can also be the perverse representation of the lovers, right? So you having that clarity of realizing that you're naked. Because if you look at the Lovers card, it represents Adam and Eve and they're underneath God, right? Or one of the angels. And it represents being connected to the divine or connected to perfection, right? The Devil itself represents the mimicry of perfection. However, the Devil is totalitarian, right? So he's saying he wants everything under control of him, because you have to understand that heaven and hell is the mockery of heaven. So heaven works in like this divine order, right? It is the concept of order. Hell is the concept of chaos trying to mimic order. So maybe there is something in your life right here that is very chaotic, but it seems normal to you. Maybe you live in a very chaotic environment and you're just like, oh, it's fine. But in reality, is it? So let's clarify this Devil situation with the Revelations Tarot. So if you're new to my channel, what I like to do is I like to pull 3 cards from the Revelations Tarot and then clarify this energy with the major arcana. So what is going on with this Devil energy? This deck does have reversals in it as well. We have the Two of Swords in reverse, the King of Pentacles in reversed, and the Two of Cups in reversed. Wow. So you're definitely realizing something right here. You're coming to the realization of this Two of Swords, okay? The Two of Swords in reverse, well, upright represents you being blocked off to a situation. You don't want to see things clearly. However, when it's in reverse, this is you taking off the blindfold, dropping the swords, and saying, I know exactly what this situation is. So you are staring the Devil down. You're saying, this is exactly what I do not want in my life. With this King of Pentacles in reverse, this is saying that you've become a little bit commonplace with it, but you're waking up to that realization. Because things feel comfortable to you, but you also are bored, all right? So the King of Pentacles, when he's upright, he's a very giving king. Like, if you go to him, he's going to help you out financially, monetarily. Same with the Queen of Pentacles. But here's the thing. He's going to make you work for it. When he's in reverse, he's become commonplace, like things are very mundane to him. He's not really paying attention to how he's attaining wealth or what's going on around him, what people are doing with his wealth, what's going on within the kingdom. With this Two of Cups, this is you cutting off the communication, cutting off a emotional situation. So maybe you're connected to someone right here and you're saying, I don't want to be connected with you, okay? Because you have clarity, you're understanding that this person is doing something pretty wicked behind the scenes, because the Devil does represent wickedness as well. However, that's not to say all Capricorns are wicked people. Capricorn just rules the Devil. When I look at Capricorn, it's saying that it can peer deeply at the Devil's energy and see where the flaw is. So when you look at a contract, nothing is perfect within our lives. We have to understand that the human realm is not perfect in any way. So there is really no true perfect contract. There is a contract where attorneys agree with one another that, hey, this is what's going to happen. However, there's always a flaw within a situation, because we can never be perfect as humans. So let's clarify this Two of Swords. I'm going to use the Vampire Tarot, because this is getting a little bit dark, and this deck usually brings illumination. So what do we need to know right here? So what's going on with this Two of Swords energy? We had the Eight of Knives and the Two of Knives. Wow, Aries got this exact combination. So you were chained to a situation with this Two of Knives upright. You're saying, oh, everything's fine, everything's okay. But here's the thing with the Eight of Knives. This represents mental imprisonment. So you're mentally imprisoned in this Two of Knives situation where you're just sitting there, everything seems okay, but then you're revealing something right here. You're being enlightened to what the devil actually is. You're taking off the blindfold and looking it dead in the face and saying, wow, you're actually the thing, the person, whoever it is within your life, whatever the situation is, that's ruining everything. But here's the thing, it's kind of like they're ruining it while you're asleep, all right? So when I say when you're asleep, it's like you're not paying attention to what this person is doing behind the scenes. For example, maybe you're in a relationship with a person where they control the finances. And the person who's in control of the finances is just doing whatever they want to. And so whenever you need to like have money, you don't have money. You're like, well, what'd you spend it on? Like that's the situation right there, is it's like you've become commonplace with the material things that are around you, because this is your card, Taurus, the King of Pentacles, okay? The King of Pentacles represents wealth and living abundantly. It's blessed by Venus, because you are also blessed by Venus. You and Libra co-rule Venus together. So this is you squandering the things that you've been blessed with that are actually supposed to be within your life. The Daughter of Scepters with the Six of Grails, you've been giving to this emotional leech right here. Here's the thing with the Daughter of Scepters, they are very polarizing to look at, okay? Because the Daughter of Scepters represents someone who sits on their throne in a way. In some decks, they're standing up. In this one, she's sitting down, right? And people are looking at her. And people are like, oh, I would do anything for this person. And with this Six of Grails, she's got them right where she wants them, because this represents an illusion. This represents ignorance is bliss. This represents a fantasy. So this is someone providing the fantasy for you, Taurus. And it could be anything within your life. This could be watching TV. This could be indulging in snacks. This could be, whatever it is. It's just appealing and you want it. But here's the thing. A lot of people want this page as well. People are staring at this person or this ideology, okay? And it's keeping you entranced, because you have to understand the thing about the Six of Cups is that it gives you emotional fulfillment, okay? It's representation of an older brother giving this cup to his sister, and basically he's spending the day with her. He wants her to be happy. He wants her to pretend she's a princess. He doesn't want her to understand what death is. So he's giving her like this fun-filled outing and adventure where she can just be herself, right? And he's supposed to be like, her guardian, her protector. And that's kind of what the Six of Grails is in this representation of this artwork. This person is drinking the blood right here. However, she's kind of being deceived by the devil or the serpent. The serpent has poisoned the cup. So that's what this is right here. It's you're indulging in something within your life that is putting you to sleep. And you're finally waking up to whatever it is. It could be watching too much TV. It could be pornography, because that could also be the Page of Wands as well. It could be whatever was in your life that's providing this fantasy that is not real, okay? So let's look at this Two of Cups energy. This is you finally crossing your arms and saying, I'm absolutely done with whatever this situation is. I don't want it in my life. It's only bringing me minor fulfillment, because the Two of Cups represents a brand new situation coming in, but it's very young, all right? And when I say young, it's like at its earliest stages. So you just met someone like on the first date kind of thing. So it's not something that's, this great spectacle. So what is this Two of Cups right here in reverse? You're choosing to walk away from it. You're choosing to be done. And that's what this Eight of Knives is as well, with this Daughter of Scepters and the Six of Grails, is that it's mentally imprisoning you and mentally entrapping you in whatever this is. So for example, people say they're going to start their diet or whatever, but they never do, because their comfort food brings them up. Their comfort food brings them comfort, right? So you just continuously do these things because it brings you comfort. It makes you feel good. You're like, whatever. But then you're realizing that, hey, it's really unhealthy for you, or whatever this situation is, it's ruining something within your life. It's actually doing something bad with this devil, okay? And you're waking up to that situation. So we had the Two of Cups right here, the Ten of Scepters with the Daughter of Grails. You're tired of having to carry this burden for something that is constantly spilling out. Because here's the thing about the Daughter of Grails energy. It always needs to be fulfilled again. The Daughter of Grails goes around wanting her cup filled up from many different things. All right? The Ten of Scepters represents a very heavy burden. This is kind of representation of the friction before the climax, because tarot can also be read in a sexual manner. So with the Ten of Scepters, this is kind of like, putting in all of your force before you reach the Ten of Cups. The scepters are also symbolic to the male genitals, and the cups represent the female genitals. So when we look at this energy right here, it's like this person, this daughter of Grails right here, constantly needs the cup filled up, and you're constantly having to put too much energy into whatever this is to fill this up. But here's the thing that's important to understand. This is the tarot of the vampires. You're never going to fulfill them. That's why I like to pull this deck out when I have darker messages like this, when I pull things like the Devil or Death or Tower, because this deck provides the clarity that you need right here. You are fulfilling a vampire within your life. And whatever that is, you need to shed illumination on that. So for example, food is never truly going to fulfill you, all right? Sex is truly never going to fulfill you because you always want to go back to those things. So whatever this is, it's not something like, and it could also be like, someone who is a gold digger and you're always having to give money to them. They're never satisfied with what they have, all right? So this isn't, like a happy, romantic relationship. Like everything could be fine within your actual relationship, but there is something in your life that you constantly feed that's an addiction that has you bound to it, and it only gives you these small little flings, but you have to exert too much force into whatever it is. But it has you in a blissful state to where you don't even realize that you're putting in so much Ten of Wands effort for very, very minimal outcome. But you are trapped in it and you can't see things clearly with the Eight of Swords and the Two of Swords. But you're finally waking up to that situation because, as you can see right here, the symbology of this King of Pentacles is that he's asleep on his throne. So, sorry if you can hear my chair creak. I actually kind of broke the leg, so I had to stick it back in like the socket, and now it's creaky and everything. So, we have the Devil and the Seven. Here it is, the Devil and the Seven of Grails. The Seven of Grails represents fantasy. It's not real, okay? That's the thing about this Devil, is that you're chained to this situation. You cannot leave it, all right? Or you don't want to, because it's providing a fantasy for you. The Seven of Grails, none of the cups are real. It's Scorpionic energy. So we have the Six of Grails coming out with Scorpio energy and the Seven of Grails coming out with Scorpio. So whatever you're feeding right here, it's not going to bring you any fulfillment ever. Now, here's the thing. In certain readings, the Seven of Grails can be a good card, right? It depends on the cards that are around it, because there is one ultimate true fulfilling cup, the Cup of Life. However, there are other cups in this artwork. One leads to the head of Medusa, one leads to a tower moment, one leads to like a snake pit, one leads to a dagger. Like, there are all these different paths you could take, but none of them are actually good for you. So what I'm seeing with this Seven of Grails right here with this Devil is it's like it all leads to the Devil, whichever cup you take, because you're fulfilling a fantasy. So the Seven of Grails can also be represented like a ghostly figure, all right? If you go and look at the traditional artwork of the Seven of Grails, you'll understand what I'm talking about. There's a man, he's like in a dream state, he's standing there like this, and then there's kind of like a smoke coming out of the grounds with all these cups in the air, representing that he's in a dream. What else is going on for Taurus? The Lord of Cups, more Scorpio energy, the Daughter of Knives, and the Two of Skulls. So what I'm seeing with this Lord of Grails right here, this is representation of you finally having to have balance over your emotions, okay? It's okay to have small little peeks at the situation, all right? So if you want to have like a cheat day, if you want to, whatever, it's okay to indulge in the little things in life once in a while. You have to have balance over with this Two of Pentacles right here. This is representation of understanding where this emotional fulfillment comes from and then gaining control of your emotions, all right? So what I'm seeing for you with this Daughter of Knives energy is that the Page of Knives, they're new to a situation. They're kind of like a spy, and they see things here and there, but they don't understand the full picture. But you do with this Lord of Grails energy. You understand the full picture. it's okay to go back and have like a cheat day every once in a while, but gaining control with the Two of Pentacles, which represents infinity. Understanding your darker self and understanding the human side of yourself, okay? Because when we look at this energy right here, this artwork on this picture, she is a human, but there is a vampire in the mirror. So it's kind of representation of her human self and then of her base nature of her constantly wanting to feed on blood, right? So she has to have that duality within herself so she's not like a monster, so that way she can stay hidden. So she's coming to terms like, how do I balance this out within my life? And that's kind of what I'm seeing for you right here, is that you have to gain the emotional control over whatever this is. You have to, for example, I've given this example a lot in the readings, but this King of Cups, he is an emotionally mature person. So for example, they bring a person to him, this person's stolen bread. The King of Cups knows that, hey, when a thief steals something, they have to be, put in debtor's prison. They have to have all these bad things happen to them. However, he takes into consideration why the person stole the bread. And then he says, oh, you stole the bread to feed your family's starving. Okay, well, don't do it again. Here's some money so that way you can feed your family for the next couple of weeks. Here's something, a project that I have on the side where you can make money for the next couple of months, right? And he does the right thing. He gains control over the emotion. However, the King of Swords would be like, well, in the law it states this. You have to go to debtor's prison. The King of Cups is coming from a more emotional standpoint. Still a very mature standpoint, right? So that's what I'm seeing for you right here. It's okay to have the cheat day with the Daughter of Knives, but still have to have balance over that, the wicked part of yourself. The Empress, your card coming out with the Ace of Pentacles. Yeah, it's really affecting your money. But here's the thing, when you gain control over it, you're going to realize that your life drastically improves. You realize something, that the devil was never truly making you happy. It was just making you squander your time, your money, your resources, and your life. You gaining control over whatever this is by releasing the fantasy realm right here, it leads you to the Empress, which is your energy, your card. You and Libra rule this together. And then you can start working on fulfilling the Empress right here, fulfilling the actual parts of yourself that you truly need to fulfill. For example, some people feed their addictions, right? And they say, man, I wonder how much money I would have saved if I never done that. Well, here's the thing. You give up the addiction and then you start investing in yourself. You start buying stocks. You start buying property, whatever it is. You put the money that you would buy for that addiction aside, and then you can start working on the things that truly would make you fulfilled, your generational wealth right here. So let's look at the spellcasting oracle deck. It's kind of like, we have travel coming up. Certain addictions, they make you feel good for a time period, but they're lacking, right? And then you want to do them again and again and again, and they just don't leave you emotionally fulfilled. It fulfills the fantasy, but you realize that you're truly just chained to a situation. It's not real, okay? The fantasy behind it is just a lie, and it only makes you feel good for a certain period of time, whereas you're going to have to do it over and over. Take this reading right here and try to find what that is within your life. We have home. So maybe you need to travel from your home right here. Maybe the problem is that it's what you surround yourself with. Maybe you need to go back home. Maybe wherever you are, it could be like, the prodigal son energy. You're around a bunch of people who are just terrible, toxic, awful people. And, they try to get you involved in things that you don't even want to be involved in. Are these cards in reverse right here? And maybe you're just doing it to, find friends or whatever, but you're realizing, hey, I don't really like the big city. I don't like the way the people act here. It's just better if I go back home. Or maybe you're at home and you're around people who are addicts and who are around, just terrible things. You're saying, you know what? It's not it. I need to get out of here. And that's kind of what I'm seeing for you right now. Maybe you're helping someone to get over this. An ultimatum with this Two of Cups. We have the Stag, premonition, and the Moth, caution. Be careful, though. Here's the thing with this. Be careful of people who are crazy. People who are addicted to things right here. Maybe this is a reading that you need to be aware of, all right? People could want to take things from your home so that way they could feed their addictions. I think I did a reading like this about a year and a half ago for you. I think that was the very first reading I did for you. The premonition with this Stag energy is you're going to see something, and you're going to see it clear as day. You're going to have like a vision, right? The vision is saying to have caution right here. For example, you know, you have a dream of a really bad situation happening, and you decide not to do something one day because of that. Like it shakes your world, and you're just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then, you know, someone has done something that had fentanyl in it. I don't know, maybe that's something you like to do. Well, that saved your life right there because you had that caution, you had that premonition, because you didn't feed the addiction that day. So that's something that you need to pay attention to as well. Now, let me get you a couple of, what are these? Halloween oracles. With this moth energy and this moth caution, pay attention to the moths that are around you, okay? Because you have to understand that they like to go after light. So if you're actually functioning at a very high level right here, you're going to have people that come into your life or who come into your life who are just not very good for you. They're just moths being drawn to a flame, right? And they cause destruction. You know, they eat clothing. They eat jewels, not jewels, but they eat, you know, the nice things that are in your house. So that's what you also have to be aware of right here, is that maybe you're taking care of someone who is just trying to be a moth, who is just, you know, in the closet eating away at your clothes. And you've helped this person. So we have Lady de los Muertos, acceptance and equality. The Winter, sacredness of pausing. Taking a break from whatever this situation is. Acceptance and equality. Accept the situation for what it is. It's okay to indulge here and there, and I'm not talking about like, you know, really bad things. I'm not talking about like, say, you know, I haven't done meth in 3 months. Let me smoke meth. No, I'm talking more like, you know, you decide to not eat that morning donut anymore, but you can have that donut like once or twice a week kind of thing. You know, some people are like, I'm going to have morning donut with a morning coffee, with a morning cigarette, with a morning this, morning that, right? And you're like, you know, I'm going to make healthier choices. I'm going to cut all these things out. So equality can represent that you have to have that balance. You have to have that fairness right there. You don't have to live your life in just a horrible manner. For example, I'm not vegan. I know some vegans. I know some good vegans, and I know really annoying vegans, right? And the ones who are like super annoying, they're just like, they seem like they don't have any fun whatsoever. They're like always on their diet. However, the ones that I actually do like, they're like, yeah, I have on the occasion a snack here and there. I have this, that, and the other, but it, you know, it's obviously like a vegan snack. But they're not, you know, addicted to like the CrossFit vegan lifestyle. You know what I'm talking about. With this winter, the sacredness of pausing, take a break from whatever this is. Maybe it is time to have that break. Maybe it is time to just break away from whatever it is within your life. You know, some people, when, how can I say this without it sounding weird? People who get addicted to pornography, they tend to have really on and off again relationships because they don't understand how relationships actually work, okay? People who watch a lot of, say, for example, I know people who watch anime all the time and they just cannot break away from that mindset. Maybe it is time to break away from the things that are keeping you in kind of like this la land state where you're not connecting with other people, you're not having healthy relationships, all right? It's okay to indulge, it's okay to have, you know, your nerd fandom or whatever. I mean, I have mine, right? But at the same time, you have to live in reality. You can't live within the Seven of Cups energy all the time. So let me get you a couple of awakened cards. We have shine on, and we have light as matter. So when I see this energy right here with this shine on and light as matter, it kind of represents the sun becoming human. Like the energy of the sun living on as a person and then shining on. And I kind of feel like this is going to be like a testimony right here. People are going to see you very differently, like what happened to you. And maybe this is where the moths are coming in within your life right here. Maybe this is kind of like the premonition of something. Maybe you know that you shouldn't be in a relationship with someone. Maybe you know that you shouldn't try that, or whatever it is, because you know about yourself that it's not going to bring you any type of fulfillment. Maybe someone's trying to get you into something that you don't fully agree with, but you're wanting to do it because you want to please them. Here's the thing, if you don't want to do that, then don't do it. You get people who are really weird attracted to you because they're moths, because they see something in you and they want to tear it out of you. And you have to understand that. People will do some devious shit when they see a person who's actually, functioning at a very high vibration. When I say functioning at a high vibration, when it just means that you have your life in order, okay? If you truly have your life in order right now, then this is more like a premonition thing. Hey, you're about to meet someone who's kind of a piece of shit. Don't let them into your life, all right? They might tick all the boxes. They might be this fantasy, but here's the thing. It's a fantasy and other people are looking at them too. So with this Thurisaz, it means thorn. Earthly meaning protection, barriers, pride, and self-deception. The spiritual meaning is destruction and rebirth, inner truth, and false ego. Here's the thing about the thorn in the side. The thorn in the side is a biblical reference. There was a thorn, and I can't remember the prophet's name. He asked God to remove it. God didn't remove it because it was part of, his life. I think he maybe removed it later on down the line. I can't remember, but it is biblical. Go and read the verses of the thorn in the side. It is actually a very, very powerful message. But this does represent protection for you, so you are protected. Put up some barriers within your life. People will try to get you into some weird shit because they want to take advantage of you. So put up those barriers. Be like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't care how attractive you are. I'm not going to be in your weird little dungeon at the end of the day. Unless you're into that. But if you're not, then don't. So with this pride and self-deception, don't try to do something just out of ego. Okay? Oh, I can do that. No. If you don't want to do that, that's the difference right there. It's not that you can't do it. A lot of people can do whatever they want to. It doesn't mean that they should if they don't feel called to do so. With this spiritual meaning, destruction and rebirth, the inner truth and the false ego, you're pulling the devil twice. So you have to destroy something. You have to pull off the chains that are around your neck and walk away from the situation. The false ego is saying that you want to stay here, but you can't. The inner truth is saying that you know that you need to leave. So we lose strength, success in all ventures, good health, and speedy recovery. When you give this up, whatever it is, or you have this premonition, you're going to get over this situation very quickly. And you're going to be happy that you did, okay? So anyway, Taurus, I hope you enjoyed this reading, and I'll talk to you later.